How many of you analyze wireless packets in Wireshark? Did you struggle to make sense of Wi-Fi frame analysis? So let me help you, giving my Wireshark profile that I use to teach and troubleshoot Wi-Fi. So that will make you more comfortable and start easy with this Wireshark profile. So now to give you an idea, so now what I have done is basically I have added a link in the comment section. You can download my Wireshark profile. Once you download my Wireshark profile, and if you have already installed Wireshark on your machine, what you can do is you can go to the profile section here and right click, and you can say import from zip file, and then you will link to RockstarWiFi profile which I shared with you, and you can open. Now before opening, if in the default profile, if you check, it gives certain information, but to make out of sense, it's very difficult. It's a bit boring, dry. You can't differentiate different type of frame. In that way, once you upload, you will see some color scheme. Frame has been colored in different colors. So let me show you how it looks like once you import this profile. It says one profile imported. Now in this particular section, you should be able to see RockstarWiFi profile. Now once you click it, you will see now the frame has been get different colors. But now to give you a background of this particular packet capture, what I have taken is basically a test environment in my lab setup. So I have 2 access points, both managed by Meraki, and then I have a few client devices. Some of them are Wi-Fi 7. One laptop is Wi-Fi 6. So I try to basically connect this client to the different SSIDs, and then sometime I took this laptop and move around, so to simulating some kind of client roaming event as well. So that way now in your scenario as well, if you are troubleshooting a client issue, connectivity issue, you should know what's the device you are troubleshooting. At least you need to find out the MAC address of that device to troubleshoot. So that way in our case, basically, even I have not explicitly given the MAC address, we can find all these detail using our Wireshark profile. Now let me go back to the my machine which I so in that way frame has been captured using a Meraki cloud. That means we have captured the packet at the AP level. Okay, that's one advantage. What's the advantage? If you capture over the air using a third-party sniffer, so sometime you will not able to get a decrypted view of your traffic. So sometime specifically with the WPA3 world, there are no way to you can decrypt those packets over the air. In that way, if you want to get a decrypted view, either you need to get from the access point or client itself. So now Meraki giving the option of taking packet capture, what we call intelligent packet capture. You can very easily look at some inner detail, even the protected management frame. You can get the inside detail, very helpful in troubleshooting. So now let me walk through what this particular profile will give you. So you can see, I have added some additional column. So channel, that means very important. If you are basically troubleshooting Wi-Fi, you need to know whether the client has changed the channel. That means they have roamed to another access point. And I have added a data rate column and SSID detail, number of station in the AP or SSID based on the beacon information, and some channel utilization column as well. Now important part is here, I have given some display filters. So now the idea is, if you learn wireless, basically there are 3 types of frame: management, control, and data frame. So sometime if you want to troubleshoot Wi-Fi, mainly you need to know management and control frame, because wireless client has to associate first, and then only they can transmit their data frame. In that way, if you're having a connectivity issue or even disconnection, there's some indication in the management frame section what's the problem for this. In that way, now if you click on this management, you can see different type of management frame has been listed. Now, if you want to find out a client association or client roaming event, so you need to look for either association request frame or reassociation request frame. In that way, in my case, even I didn't give the MAC address detail. If you click on this particular association request, you can see now there are multiple association reassociation request frame can be seen. So now in my case, you can see I have tried to connect to the mrn-x SSID. If you look at the MAC address of the transmitter address, you can see I have one Intel client, another Intel client, and this could be my Pixel phone. Okay, in that way you can see those three clients trying to connect to that SSID, and then we can see Pixel keep on trying couple of times, and then you can see later on some kind of reassociation request frame. This is an indication of they are trying to roam. That means they already previously connected to the SSID. They are trying to reassociate. And then you can see I'm connecting to the MRK-P SSID, and towards end you can see I'm trying to connect to the MRK-guess SSID. In that way, now let's take one as example, because if you want to troubleshoot a particular client issue, idea is you come to this management frame section and filter association request frame and find out whether you can find your client MAC address here. Okay, if you already know the MAC address, you don't want to go to this step, you can straight away come to the frame section and put the client MAC address. Now even the control frame, you have a display filters. I have given some shortcuts, so sometimes it is quite useful. Know certain control frame. And data frame section, I have included some Wi-Fi 6, single user, multi-user kind of frame filter. And then a couple of useful troubleshooting kind of frame. If a frame to be retransmitted, you can click this particular one, find out how many. Just give example. Now if I click the retransmitted packet, now you can see out of 61,000 frame being captured, around 3% is retransmitted. Okay, it's not a huge amount, but sometime if you get 20-30% of retransmissions, that's a bit congested RF environment. You need to find why that is the case. So sometime if you want to filter EAPOL, and especially if you are doing a .1x kind of authentications, so if you filter by EAPOL LAN, you can find those .1x authentications. Okay, in that way you can see, like I will go through one example, entire process of how long it can take. Like simply, for example, now I'll filter for one particular client MAC address later and show this. You can find all this particular detail. Client basically trying to authenticate themselves. And you can see successful authentication and followed by what we call four-way handshake. So like that, if you know how Wi-Fi work in certain kind of security environment, that will be quite useful to, understand that and troubleshoot. And sometime if you click DHCP, in this example, you will see some DHCP traffic. Why? Because we said we captured using a Meraki cloud. That means EAP has a decrypted view. In that way, EAP will give a decrypted view. Otherwise, any secure SSIDs, we will not be able to see this inner detail. Okay, so in that way, if you take the over-the-air capture, you will not see that. Okay, I'll do another video just to explaining the difference. If you do not really understood what's the difference between capturing at the EAP level versus over-the-air. But in this particular example, if you filter by DHCP, you can see that detail. In that way, now you can see here DHCP, what we call DORA process, discover of a request acknowledgement. In that way, if you take one particular instances, you should be able to see they are doing, like discover of a request acknowledgement, DORA process. You can see in here a couple of instances, they have DHCP. In that way, now Wi-Fi 6E specific, like if you want to find out whether it's a LPI deployment, like a standard power indoor, outdoor, how to filter that. And specifically now you're studying for Wi-Fi 7. I have included certain sort of filters, finding out whether it is a different type of multi-link frame, and then understand whether it's a EMLSR, like a different mode of multi-link operation. So I'll do short videos separately for these kind of scenarios, but I don't want to confuse with you what all these particular filters mean. But at least now troubleshooting point of view, you have to remember two steps. One is actually how to find the client MAC address. If you don't know the client MAC address, you come to the management section, look for the association or reassociation request frame, and then in this particular example, let's filter my Google client MAC address. So how you can do that, you can select one of those frame, and sometime if you collapse all, you will see all the detail in the collapsed format. So now if you go here, association request, you will see the addresses detail. In wireless, you can see more than, like typically in Ethernet, you have a source and destination address, MAC address point of view. But in wireless, you have additional two addresses called transmitter and receiver address. So typically, if you know who's sending the association request, it is sending by the client. In that way, transmitter address or source address is same, which is my client MAC address. So if you want to copy this MAC address, you can right click and copy value. So once you copy the MAC address value, what you can do is you can go to the client MAC address section, and then you basically replace this MAC address value. But now in this particular instance, I filtering traffic, client MAC address equal to that, and then I am filtering out control frame. Why sometime all unicast frame in wireless has to be acknowledged. In that way, you don't want to see acknowledgement frame at the end of every unicast frame. In that way, to remove that particular, understand the process, it is best to exclude. But certain scenario, you can include control frame as well. But once you filtered out that, let me hit enter here. And you will see now this is the sort of my Google client behavior. Like there you can see they're probing and they're getting probe responses. After some time, you can see now client is trying to connect. Like how can you say that? Because you can see after certain sort of probe, they went through a process authentication. And then they are sending association request and requesting connect to that SSID. And then association response come from the access point. They are happy to accept you. But in this particular example, if you look at, sometime, if it's a .1x kind of SSID, we anticipated a client to be authenticated. Without authenticating, we are not letting them in. Okay, this is a most highest secure method where you can configure SSID. In that way, you can see once they associated, they are basically going through a process, of providing identity and then providing some detail, and then server basically sending certain detail. But you can see initially when this client trying to connect, there's some kind of fatal alert coming. But if you look at that .1x detail, you can see what's the reason for. Now initially it's saying unknown certificate authority. That means client connection will be failed, unknown certificate authority. And then AP will disassociate the client. And if you expanding here, you will see some kind of reason disassociated stash and has leave the BSS. Okay. Now then this client trying again, second time you can see, now this particular time, same kind of format goes through, but let's see what happens second time. Now second time you can see my authentication is successful. Okay. So once authentication is successful, they will follow the key derivation process. Normally in Wi-Fi, we call this a four-way handshake. There are 4 messages exchange, message 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So sometimes you can see some certain frame being captured twice. It can be retransmission, or it should be, sometime, retransmission, or it may be genuine, depending on the way it captured. Sometime duplicate packet can be captured. So now after that, client go through the DORA process. You can see client is basically sending a, this is my client 2B, that is sending a discovery message, and then you should be able to see the, offer message, request, those frame should be able to see here. Now, because we get a decrypted view, you will see this detail. Now, idea is sometime now, if you know this is how Wi-Fi should work, you can basically use this profile. Sometime interesting things point of view, sometime if we need to know how long this authentication took place. simply you can look at this time column. If you want, you can make this as a reference frame, right click and set time reference or control T or command T. And then you can see my authentication process took roughly 308 milliseconds. Okay, that's a long time comparing, but in my home environment, lab environment, so this is, I'm not worried about it. But in the enterprise environment, if you average Redis authentication take 300 milliseconds, that means bit concerning because it's too long, because we want to make the authentication quickly as possible. Okay, in that way, now if you think about a 4-way handshake, so sometime you can make this reference as a time reference, and then you can see 4-way handshake. Again, in this particular example, it took some time, you can see, even I make that frame reference. So you can see, it took around, this is like a 59, 500. Let's make this frame as a reference frame, time reference. So compare that frame, but there's some gap definitely between these frame. But I think, now due to some reason, even if I filtered my 2B, you can see, that's the frame I filtered, but certain frame appeared here. So now I need to find it out why. That basically it can be, okay, so now there's a access point. Yeah, it is coming to my client. So initiated by the access point. Look like my client has not been responded for this particular first frame, and then it took some time, and then AP sending the second message number 1. So it appeared to be, a bit of a delay of responding my client in that way. That's why second time he's sending that particular frame. So from that particular frame onward, within 6 milliseconds, EAPOL 4 message handshake has been completed. Why? Because this is going between supplicant and the access point, very close by. But these communication goes, authentication take place between supplicant and the radius server. Depending on where the radius server, so sometime it can take time. Okay. In that way, now you get the idea. You can look at some reference time. You can calculate those kind of value. Sometime it is good to know how to do this kind of settings in the profile. So now, for example, now what happened for this particular client, you can see now if you go by the channel column, so he's connecting to channel number 140. Now if you look at my diagram, that means he's connected to channel number 140, this access point. I'm looking at this pixel client. He's connecting to this access point and passing the traffic. That's what we can see. Now let's see, then what happened. So even though he's initially probing, this client probing for 140, but whenever he connected to the channel number 5. Okay. So channel number 5, if you look at the diagram again, channel number 5 mean, even though he's probing for this, but he decided this is the access point, he need to go channel number 5, 6 gigahertz frequency. He connected to 6 gigahertz band of this 9172 AP. So now after that, if you keep look for this channel column, if a client roaming event happen, probably you will see client change the channel number. Okay, so now in here you can see they are probing still broadly. Now after some time you can see he has changed the channel number to 52. That means he initially in the 6 GHz band he connected, and then after some time it decided to basically now maybe signal strength may be weak or whatever condition, they reassociate to the channel 52, which is the 5 GHz band of the same AP. So even you changing the band of the same AP, you can see it's like a reassociation request response. That means this is like a roaming event. That means client roam from 6 GHz band to 5 GHz of the same AP. Okay? And then you can see, he's sending some authentication messages. These are not really normal. And then after some time, Now this is with a different AP. You can see I'm connected to channel number 52, but this look like at the same time AP trying to now he was like a channel number 5 and connected to 52, but he may be trying to authenticate with some other AP, and then that AP may be deauthenticated. That's event here seen, and then you can see the client is passing traffic on channel number 52. So now if you keep going like that, channel number 52, 52, 52, and then after some time again, now client is basically coming back to channel number 5. Okay, he's trying to come back to 6 GHz frequency, and again reassociation request, response, another roaming kind of event. But this time that band you didn't really disassociate you. That means client basically now struggle kind of thing. You can see he's trying to go to channel number 21, and then again he's going to the other access point, which is channel number 140. Okay, in that way now this is indicating client trying to go between the band of the same AP. After some time, a client decided to better to go to channel number 140, and he's doing the same full .1x authentication in that particular scenario. So now after some time, now in the second AP as well, if you want to check how long it took for authentication, you can make this first identity request as a reference frame. You can say set time reference, and you can see this time as well, it took around 263 milliseconds to authenticate. And then in this particular instance as well, you can see, like client is basically sending the M1, AP sending the M1, but appear to be not much of response, and then AP sending again message number 1 after some expiry of time. Okay, in that way, this is not normal, should not take that, but whatever reason, client basically did not respond to M1, and then AP sending the M1 again, maybe after some time expiry. This is something need to be investigated, why it's happening. So this kind of thing you can identify. So after that second M1, you can see client within 5 milliseconds completing the key derivation process. Okay, in that way your traffic will be encrypted. But as I said, we got this in the access point level. I got the decrypted view. In that way, I can see the DORA process, discover, offer, request, acknowledgement kind of communication. I can see. Okay, so typical environment, if you take the packet capture over there, you will not see this in a detail. So that's why it's important to understand why you see this even in a .1x scenario. Okay, learning point of view, this is the best you can get, because if you get a decrypted view, you can understand the entire flow. In that way, client is channel number 140, that is 9178 AP. After some time, you can see a lot of action frames, still 140, passing traffic 140, still 140, no reassociation, still he's in 140. So you can see QoS data 140, still not change the channel 140. Now at the end, still when this capture is finished, I think now at some point of time, they try to move back to channel number 5. Okay, after 140, you can see reassociation request response. And then whenever you go back to the original AP, you can see we don't have full authentication process. Why? Because this client was with the channel number 5 earlier. In that way, whenever reassociating, they can bypass the .1x process. This is the importance of what we call sometimes called PMK caching. If you're going back to the original AP, we don't want to do the full authentication. So that way you get the idea, you can understand, all this particular frame flow, very easily, as long as you are familiar with your this particular profile. How I basically know, if it is authentication, I can quickly identify this kind of yellow color kind of frame, light green, yellow. I know this is a .1x E, and then if it is a orange color kind of color scheme, I know this is an authentication frame. In that way, once you use some kind of Wireshark profile more regularly, you can identify things quickly. Okay, in that way, very first time, it may be a bit, overwhelming to go through all this particular thing. But at least, start using this profile, and anytime, don't be afraid to go and take packet captures and have a look. Now, if you want to understand some other mechanisms as well, like WPA3 personal, enhanced open kind of scenario, you have some client connections for those kind of security method as well. In that way, if my dash x mean dot 1x kind of SSID, dash p mean personal kind of SSID, and guess mean like OWE kind of SSID or enhanced open. So I'll let you to basically go and explore further and look at different type of frame management, beacon frame, find out which SSID is being beaconing, what are the information this beacon frame advertising. So for example, this MRK DOS XSSID, if you look at the all the detail about tag parameters, this will tell all about this SSID. Okay, SSID name, which data rate has been enabled, so which security method has bin configured. Under RSN element, you can see I have configured for AKM value 5, which is WPA3 personal. And then this access point is 11N capable, 11AC capable, 11AX capable, and 11BE or Wi-Fi 7 capable. That way, multi-link element is here. So you can understand a lot of detail about Wi-Fi up to Wi-Fi 7 using this capture. So I will upload this capture as well into the link into the description section. So download this capture as well, and Wireshark profile, feel free to use it. I'm happy to you spread this particular profile with many professional. That's what we want, because we want to people comfortable with look at wireless packet captures. That is I have been teaching this protocol analysis for a long period of time. Still, even professional as well, they are not very comfortable looking at the packets and understand the wireless concept in deep. Okay, in that way, idea of sharing this profile is to make sure you have some good starting point, and then you can, as you understand the protocol well, you will basically able to customize this Wireshark profile in your way and develop some custom profile as well. If you have any other profile, I'll probably add some other links as well, some useful profile, because I'm not the only one sharing this kind of profile with the wireless community. I'll link that in the description as well, some additional profile. But if you have some good profiles that you use, very valuable and happy to share with everyone in the community, let me know, in that way, because I'm happy to add it in my blog post, or at least give a link and give a credit to the person who's sharing as well. Make it more, collaborative, in that way. I hope, this video give us some good idea how to use my Wireshark profile and learning and troubleshooting point of view. I'll see you some another video. Until then, happy learning.